First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Gainesville voters will face a November on GRU governance and may be asked to vote again next spring.
And a fired FBI director takes center stage, giving his take on conversations with the president and his conclusion about why he was fired. That's our top story. I'm Mari Salazar.
And I'm Sasha Saliba. Comey is not making any legal claims about obstruction of justice, but he's outlined 9 conversations with the president that made him uncomfortable. NBC News correspondent Edward Lawrence is in Washington with the latest.
With the world watching, former FBI Director James Comey testified under oath for the first time since being fired. He says he worried how the president would characterize their meetings.
I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document.
Those notes reveal President Donald Trump asked Comey to pledge his loyalty and to lift the cloud of the Russia investigation over his administration. It so concerned Comey that he only wanted a select few to know about the statement.
We don't want the agents and analysts working on this to know the President of the United States has asked, and when it comes from the President, I took it as a direction, to get rid of this investigation.
Comey says the president also asked him to let the investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn go.
Why didn't you stop and say, Mr. President, this is wrong?
Maybe if I were stronger, I would have. I was so stunned by the conversation that I
After 9 contacts with the president that made Comey uneasy, he was fired from his job. Comey says publicly the administration blamed it on disarray within the FBI.
Those were lies, plain and simple.
He warned senators the Russians will not stop.
It's not about Republicans or Democrats. They're coming after America, which I hope we all love equally.
The White House says the president now feels vindicated because Comey's testimony now shows the president was not a target of the Russia investigation. Edward Lawrence, NBC News, Washington.
In a sense, the whole world was watching.
WUFT's Josslyn Howard joins us with some reaction from our little corner of it.
Yes, ladies. Literally at UF today, it seemed like the political science students were hanging on every word. There's plenty of partisan reaction out there and now more ammo for people on either side. But I met some students today who say the most important thing is not the political advantage swinging one way or another, but maintaining systems of government we can trust.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
At UF today, professors and students went through their morning work with one eye on the hearing.
I was trying to watch a little bit in class, trying to figure out what was going on, and I was really troubled by some of the things that were said.
Apart from watching live on TV or through streaming, social media let people express themselves. Opinions were flying this afternoon, from Twitter to Facebook, and even North Central Florida had some thoughts of their own. I found one grad student paying close attention. He says there are serious principles involved.
The president, being the executive, is trying to exert his influence over the FBI director to drop an investigation, or conversely, there might be a situation where he wants to pursue an investigation, thereby politicizing the FBI.
Either scenario is bad for judicial independence. That worries people, even if they haven't made a final judgment yet about Trump and Comey.
People are making it very ideological, and this is not an ideological issue. I understand that this was a very heated election. It has nothing to do with ideology, it has nothing to do with policy. It has to do with process, it has to do with transparency.
As for political reaction, Florida Senator Marco Rubio is on the committee and when questioned why endless leaks didn't include enough to confirm the president wasn't personally a target of the FBI's Russian investigation. Democrat Bill Nelson commented this afternoon that the special counsel got a lot of material from Comey and the ultimate goal is to get to the truth.
The initial mood of the special session in Tallahassee seems to be conflict instead of compromise. The Senate voted yesterday to override some of the governor's vetoes of construction projects at state universities. The House may not go along with any overrides. The issue is finding dollars to boost core K-12 funding, whether from budget vetoes or elsewhere. Some say more dollars could come from local property taxes. Others suggest raiding the money set aside in a controversial education bill.
Governor Rick Scott has signed a bill that will trigger some turning points in the debate over a GRU oversight.
The city of Gainesville's utility remains under scrutiny thanks to the biomass plant deals.
WUFT's Chase Dreyer joins us from the newsroom with more.
Gainesville residents now have two options to weigh: city commission control or an independent authority. But the third proposal is also in the works for something in between the status quo and what the House bill describes. Options are needed. That's the response of the Gainesville Utility Advisory Board after the governor signed House Bill 759. The city will have to hold a referendum in November on an independent board to fully supervise GRU instead of city commission. Advisory board members see that as a step too far.
We think there should be an independent utility board with some power left to the city of Gainesville on bonds, on eminent domain, things like that.
Yesterday, the advisory board began drafting a different version for a possible vote in spring, and it would stay in power as long as the November referendum fails. GRU critics point to the biomass plant controversy as proof new oversight is needed.
Either way, we have to have an independent board. The city commissioners are part-time employees. They can't do it. Our utility has been run into the ground. We were paying the highest utility bills in the state.
But although some residents are calling for an independent board to lead GRU, there are some, like city commissioners, who say it's not needed.
I don't think we should have political appointees being put onto a board. I think it's important to have the control of the board, of GRU, as close to the voters as possible. And we do that with elected commissioners. That way that if someone does something wrong, they can get kicked out of office.
A powerful independent board would take away the city's control of the general funds transfer, the return the city gets from owning GRU. In 2014, it was around $37 million. Another difference between the bills would be the powers left to the GRU general manager.
So right now the general manager reports to the city commission.
Yes.
Under our proposal, the general manager will report to us. Under the state proposal, the general manager could be micromanaged by the board. In other words, the board technically controls GRU.
For more information on GRU leadership and the biomass plant controversy, WUFT and the Gainesville Sun will be hosting a public forum to address questions and concerns. It will be next Tuesday at 6 p.m. on the UF campus. Chase Dreyer, WUFT News.
Thanks, Chase. After a warm and wet past few days, it was a bit cooler today. WUFT's Brian Boggiano joins us now from the Weather Center to tell us if we're in for a cool start Friday. Brian?
Yes, it will be a cool start, and that's because we had a front that passed through, and as a result, it was a little bit cooler and drier. However, right now, we do have a little bit of lingering moisture as a result of that. I'm going to show you these showers that are actually moving through Gainesville at this time. This is mainly some very light activity and should be moving out in the next 30 minutes, but across north central Florida, it's just very, very light showers, mainly along the Nature Coast, near Stark, Gainesville, and also to the south of Ocala, so not much in terms of heavy activity like we saw yesterday and the past couple days. Taking a look outside, though, you can see it is still drizzling across the area. Our weather stem is registering 73 degrees right now, but in fact, the high at the airport today was 72, which is the coolest June day we've seen for June 8th in Gainesville, and it will be a cool evening this evening, cooling into the 60s. Morning fog is possible, but this cool temperature trend will not last long. Back to you.
Thank you, Brian. Some parts of South Florida are still underwater after days of heavy rains. In this video, you can see how roads and homes were flooded in Broward County. The American Red Cross has now set up a center in Davie to help people. The families and friends of the victims killed by a former co-worker in Orlando gathered for a vigil on Wednesday night. Dozens of people gathered to remember the 5 victims. They consoled one another at the Glory Center, a church right next to the facility where the shooting took place. A Florida woman is being investigated for allowing a snake to bite her 1-year-old daughter and posting it on her Facebook page. The woman told deputies she thought it was a good opportunity to teach her 1-year-old about wildlife. She said the snake had bitten her and her son several times without leaving a mark, and said her young daughter was not hurt, just scared of the snake's movement. Coming up on WUFT News, first at 5, Alachua has a new food truck that's bringing free meals to children during the summer months. Plus, a physical therapy clinic takes a new approach to treat patients. Those stories and more coming up after the break.